Hey team, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, core design engineer with Brunswick Bowling, and it's one of the most fun times of the year because we get to check out the brand new releases from the brands of Brunswick for Bowl Expo and the trade show season. We're releasing a bunch of new products for the upcoming bowling season here at Bowl Expo, and because we didn't release any new core releases for this release with the Hammer brand, I'm gonna spotlight something different. I'm going to talk about arsenal building in the Hammer brand with the current products and the two new products. So I've got a brand new chart for you. I'm a little off center because I'm going to pop it up right here. Now this new chart sorts these balls into a couple different categories. When I talk about arsenal building, I always break these into a 6-ball arsenal, and I'm going to explain why in a second. But the easiest way to think of it is 2 3-ball totes. That's easy to carry to any tournament, and if you happen to fly to any tournament nationally, such as nationals in Reno or Las Vegas, then they easily go on an airplane under the 50-pound limit as well. So 2 3-ball totes is how we're going to tackle this for a 6-ball arsenal. And when I do that, I look for these categories. We're going to start with the heaviest oil options, and I suggest that you grab 2 in this category. Medium oil options, I suggest 2 in this category, and light oil options, you guessed it, 2 in this category. And I'm going to break them up into a smoother reaction and a stronger reaction. So you should look for one of each in each of the 3 oil performance categories to give you a total of 6 balls. That's easy enough. So I'm going to start by popping up the current arsenal for the Hammer brand before the Expo releases, just to give you a picture of where I feel like all of these balls fit in the chart. These are all of the balls in the Hammer brand for the last year, and you'll notice that these balls are either in a square or on the line. I wasn't going to move each of these balls by a 1/4 inch up or down to make them fit exactly where I felt like they fit relative to one another, but just know that these are more general categories about where all these balls fit. They're not exactly to the number where each ball would go, but they just give you an idea of where they perform best at box finish with a normal layout, no tricks or anything like that. So with this, now we're going to take a look at what balls we've added for Bowl Expo. And we're going to start right here with the Hammer Hazmat Solid. I'll actually pop both of these up on the screen and we'll talk about them one at a time. This Hammer Hazmat Solid is a little more length than either the Extreme Envy or the Black Widow 3.0 Solid. Now, of course, this ball is symmetrical, so it's going to have a slightly more blended shape off of the end of the friction. Arguably, this ball does back end more than either the Extreme Envy or the Black Widow 3.0, but I left it as a smoother ball on the chart because it's more of an arcing motion, whereas the asymmetry of the 3.0 and the Extreme Envy means that they're much more strong in the mid lane with a more defined change of direction in the late mid lane, and they blend out the back of the lane just a little bit better. By comparison, this Hazmat is just a little cleaner through the front part of the lane with a more gradual response to friction than either of these. That doesn't mean it lacks for punch at the back of the lane. I think you could argue that it actually backends more at the back of the lane than these balls because the hook window is longer and more continuous than an asymmetrical ball. For rev dominant players, I could see this being at the top of your bag as the strongest possible option that you might need. It's going to pair really nicely beside your Hammer effect. And I'm not sure that you even need a ball stronger than this in most conditions outside of the longest, most flooded tournament heavy oil conditions. This could be the top of your bag for a rev dominant bowler. For a speed dominant bowler, or those of us who lack revs, I think this is going to be a great strong benchmark option. It's going to be toward the top of your bag, but you might want to pick up a ball above it to be your ultimate hook oil monster, and this one would be in play on those medium, fresh, heavier house shots. And I think if you got into the lane, the rev dominant players could do that as well, but I don't think you need much more ball as a rev dominant player as opposed to a speed dominant or rev challenged player. Moving over now to our Scorpion Strike. This is a mid-differential symmetrical ball that has been a great performing line for us. Now it does have a slightly different core than the Scorpion Low Flare that came out in the winter. This ball has the flip puck on top that raises the differential to 0.45, which is higher than the Low Flare, and the core body scaling is just a little bit different too to make sure that we fine-tuned the RG and the differential where we want it. This is the same core that was in the Sting, but this is definitely more cover with the HK22 base on it. It's going to be equally as clean as the Sting, but it's going to be more back-end motion and it's going to be more back-end continuation than the previous Sting. and it's going to give you just a little more versatility over a wider range of conditions overall. I wouldn't use this one necessarily on heavy or fresh conditions, but when they break down a little bit and you can get down into your bag, this is going to be a perfect step down from something like an original Hazmat or even a hammer effect. And this is going to allow you to take advantage of the mid-lane friction that's been built into the pattern as breakdown occurs. This is going to be a very versatile piece of equipment, and it could really realistically be used on fresh patterns as well, as long as the length is short enough or as long as the volume is low enough. I see no problem using this on fresh conditions as well, especially on beat up lane surfaces. I hope you found this new chart useful in terms of how you construct your own personal arsenals. We don't expect you to buy every new release from the Hammer lineup, but every once in a while, some categories for your own personal arsenals get worn out, they need a refresh, or you have your eye on a ball to replace a ball that didn't quite fit in the arsenal how you expected it to. So I just wanted to give you tools to make sure that you pick up the piece of equipment that fits the best in the slot in your arsenal where you want it to fit. That's the idea behind this chart. It's not an end-all be-all about how every ball will react for every player, but it does give you a good idea of the general trends of all the hammer balls at box finish. As Bowl Expo and the trade show season rolls on, I'm going to do this with all of our brands to give you a chart that gives you an indication of where all of the balls fit within each brand of Brunswick. So make sure you check back often for those videos, and I will help you construct your arsenal. Thanks for watching.